This is the story about how I am majoring in theater, even though that was never actually the plan. And all about the college audition process, because I was going into this process not knowing a single thing and it was super overwhelming. I know the audition process happened in the fall, but I still think this is a good video. Quick background about me. I always knew I wanted to do theater. I always enjoyed theater, but I never thought it would be something I was gonna major in college. I just didn't think that was realistic and really in the cards for me. I was actually planning on going to school for education. I am passionate about teaching and education. I did an internship my senior year of high school where I was a student teacher, so I already knew that I loved it and that was something I could be really good at. That was the plan. College auditions happened around November, December. At least that's when I was auditioning for college. I was like, well, I guess I'll just audition and I'll just see what happens. And I'll sort of go from there and decide, if I want to major in theater or if I'm going to major in education. We're in August of 2019. That's kind of crazy to think about. I know college auditions are approaching me. I heard through the grapevine, but I didn't know what that meant for me. So I just knew I needed to prepare. So I contacted my theater teacher at the time and I was like, do you know anybody that could be a acting coach / audition coach for me going into this process? And so I started meeting with this guy who's honestly so nice. He was a former theater teacher. He majored in theater in high school. And he kind of taught me what I needed to know. So I started meeting with him probably September, October, and we were working on monologue selections. The way theater auditions worked for me, because I was only interested in acting, I was not interested in technical design. I barely have any stage tech experience. And I'm not interested in musical theater. I can't sing to save my life. So I was wanting a program with a BA or BFA in acting. What the audition usually consists of is 2 contrasting monologues that are like condensed in a minute and a half is usually the amount of time. So you work on one monologue that's a little funnier, the transition to the second monologue a little more dramatic, and that's usually the end of your audition. And all schools really see from you. So I was working on these auditions, but at the time I had no idea what schools I was even wanting to audition for. There's this huge website called, I can't think of the name of it, but I'll put it on the screen, where you submit pre-screens for colleges, and if you pass the pre-screen, that is just an online submission, you can get invited to the school to audition directly at the school, and then you might get a call back from the school for another audition process, and it can go on for a while until you get a formal acceptance into the School of Theater at whichever university. So it wasn't just like I'm gonna apply for all of these colleges and immediately be in their theater program. From a lot of the schools, it's not like that. So I was really stressed out and confused at the time. I was like, I really don't know what schools I'm looking for. I didn't even know what to look for in a school. I didn't know how I could find programs. I was honestly really, really lost. My plan of action was to apply to just a couple schools that I knew a little bit about and that heard had reputable programs for both theater and education, and seeing what would happen. So I applied to 5 schools and I got into all 5. I applied to Oklahoma State, I applied to University of Oklahoma, Sam Houston, Stephen F. Austin. Was it Tech? It might have been Tech, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so I applied for all 5 of those schools, and I applied just to get into the schools. So I paid the fee and got accepted into all 5 of these schools. I knew I had at least a safety net of options of schools to choose from if theater auditions didn't work out. So the reason I auditioned at Oklahoma State is I wasn't even looking at them. I didn't really want anything to do with Oklahoma State whatsoever. But my cousin was going to school at the time and she loved the school. I had already previously toured the school. I was like, it's in the middle of nowhere and the color is orange. Like, I'm not interested in that. But they had a scholarship audition day that was a week before my 2 really big auditions I had. And I was like, well, you know what? I guess I can just go to that scholarship audition day, see what happens, meet the faculty, get a feel for what I'm really looking for, what's important to me, and if anything, if I bomb the audition, it'll be good practice for the other big auditions I have. I really didn't know what to expect, but I came in scholarship audition day and I really loved the staff. They were so intentional, and we got a full tour of all of the department. It's definitely a smaller department, but I kind of liked that because I came from a small department in high school, and there was a bunch of new faculty that had a great vision for the department. So I was honestly really excited. I had lunch with the students there, sort of gave it me an idea about student community and how everyone was connected with each other. We did a really fun movement workshop beforehand, and then the audition went really good. And I left Oklahoma State feeling honestly a lot better than I was expecting to feel. There was this huge audition close to my area. It was called NTDA, so North Texas Drama Audition. So you could audition for stage check, musical theater, all of that was available to you. Basically, you had 60 seconds to do 2 monologues. There were over 100 representatives from different schools there that would watch your audition. And then after the auditions were all over, there was this huge list of callbacks. So you got to see which schools wanted to talk to you. And I remember being so discouraged seeing the callback list because I only had like 5 schools. The schools I talked to, I liked kind of. None of them were like super memorable except for Oklahoma State. In TEDA, I didn't get a lot of callbacks, but I saw Oklahoma State's table. So I was like, hey, Oklahoma State, how are you? And just chatted with them. And that was honestly the highlight of my night. So I left the NTDA auditions crying on the phone to my mom. I was like, it was terrible. And I felt like I had done all this work for nothing. And I was like really questioning. I was like, am I even good enough to do this? Like, maybe I should just like not do theater. And then that same weekend, there was this conference called ITS Fest, which is International Thespian Society Festival, which I'm pretty sure they have thespian festivals in most states. It's basically a huge convention with a bunch of different master classes and workshops and scholarship opportunities. So the ITS audition, I was going for theater education. So I was showing off my education website I had made and all the teaching I had sort of done throughout high school, helping out my theater teachers with classes and stuff like that. And that audition sort of interview process went really well. I was basically just tabling in this big ballroom, and different universities would walk past me and I would hand them my resume and talk to them for like 2 minutes and then they would move on. That audition went really well. I got so many, I don't want to say callbacks, but I got a bunch of invitations to go talk to a bunch of different schools. I learned a lot of information. A school that I was really excited to hear back from was UT, but again, it was for their theater education programs. It wasn't for their acting program, which is kind of what I was more interested in. I left that weekend in November being super overwhelmed and super burnt out and not knowing really where I was gonna go. I felt really confident in OSU, but I still wasn't sure. And at this time, there are still tons of other college auditions happening. February rolls around and I get an email from Oklahoma State offering me a scholarship, and I was like, well, that's looking pretty good. And I just had felt so comfortable and excited with the staff and what they were telling me and their vision for the department that I decided to commit to Oklahoma State for theater. So I guess I should put my OSU jacket on. I am now a sophomore here at Oklahoma State. The things that are a lot different about our program than programs across the country is that the theater program is a program anybody can get into. It's not audition based. I only auditioned for OSU for scholarships, and if I didn't do the scholarship audition, I probably would not even be here. I fell in love with, again, the faculty just made me feel super comfortable, and I didn't feel like I was being compared to any of the performers here or anything. I really felt like they saw a place for me here and they wanted me here. They had promised that they were going to add a BFA program, which they have added. So we do have the BFA track here, which is a Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Theater. I am currently on the BA track, which is a Bachelor of Arts in Theater. What does that mean? A BA is a more generalist degree and a BFA is definitely more performance-based. And so like a BFA degree, you have to audition for all the shows and be actively involved in more shows. And BA, you can kind of take more general classes and get a well-rounded view of theater. You're not solely focused on one thing. So I hope that kind of clears it up. I'm gonna be honest with you, my first year here was super hard, but that's because it was during COVID and community spaces like the green room just simply didn't exist. It was really hard. I was like, well, why didn't I audition for schools in California and all of that stuff? And what I can honestly tell you about that feeling of doubt that I had is it was normal. I was just a freshman in college during a pandemic, so I was gonna feel those feelings, but they're completely valid. But also, when I was a senior in high school going into the college audition process, I was not super confident as an actress. I didn't really believe in my ability to perform that much, and I think that definitely showed. And so maybe I didn't get callbacks from other schools because, they could see that in me, but I wasn't actively reaching out schools in California and schools in New York. I liked OSU because it was closer to home and it felt comfortable here. Maybe another program would have been great for me and I would fit right in, but I know that now, after almost 2 years being here, that this is definitely the place I'm supposed to be. Everything really happens for a reason, in my opinion. You might be like, Catherine, what about majoring in education? Like, if you're asking me why I chose to do theater, it's because I always knew there was a possibility of double majoring, and especially going to OSU where it was a smaller theater program, I felt confident that I could definitely do both tracks. Come to find out, I am the first person in OSU history to double major in theater performance and social studies secondary education. OSU has a very rigorous education degree plan, and so I'm currently tackling both of those right now, but I'm still able to make that happen here versus other really big and well-known schools that might not be an opportunity for you. Also, we have a super small department, which I really appreciate. I came from a high school where I was the first graduating class. I grew that theater department, and so I was excited about the growth opportunities coming here and the new talent they were going to bring in every year, knowing that I wasn't going to a highly competitive school where you don't even get cast until your junior year. I knew that freshmen had opportunities here and that we had a voice in the department and everything like that. So I'm not trying to recruit you for OSU. I'm just telling you like the reasons I chose this theater department. So the advice I would give to you is go to that college's theater department's website and look for scholarship auditions, look for audition dates. I would also suggest just emailing the department head and asking questions. If it's a school you're really interested in and you have the means, I would go tour so you know how the school feels. I have friends that got accepted into these big programs and then ended up transferring out because the school atmosphere just wasn't a right fit for them. So know that everyone has their own place. You will find it. I know it's so overwhelming, and I never in a million years expected that I would be here and that I would have such a love and a heart for this department that I do. But another thing I would look into, there's a bunch of different college prep theater camps you can do. I'll put a couple in the description box for you. So with all that being said, that is my audition story, my tips and advice I have for you guys, and the journey I went on to get to where I am today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want me to do more theater kid talk videos, let me know below. Make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. I post videos 2 times a month, so you can look forward to that. And maybe I'll start posting more, but you have to subscribe to find out. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys so soon.